Okay, awesome. We're gonna wait just a few more minutes for everyone to finish joining in. But in the meantime, as a quick icebreaker, why don't we all sort of say something fun that we did during reading week? You guys can just send it in the general chat in sort of the Zoom. It's also a good time to meet some of the fellow hackers and to introduce yourselves. I find that if we made like a distribution of when people tend to join these meetings, it's usually about 5 or 6 minutes after where it peaks, and then so we're gonna wait just a few more minutes. Which hackathon was it in SF? Cool. Oh wow. Congrats. Um, all right, so this meeting is going to be recorded, so we're just going to get started. So this is sort of an introductory office hours for the Anthropic AI Hackathon. So it's a chance for our team to tell you a little bit more about sort of the rules and different tracks of the hackathon, and for us to answer any questions you guys have, but also to distribute some of the API credits that Anthropic is providing us for this event. So again, this is all going to be recorded. So if you have to head out early or if your teammate can't make it, that's totally okay. We're going to post this afterwards. But yeah, this is a good chance to ask some questions if you guys have anything. So before we begin, I guess I'd like to sort of introduce the team that's currently representing Anthropic here. So my name is James. I'm currently a third year computer science statistics economics student at the University of Toronto, currently on my co-op. Um, I think Tassia is also in the call here if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I think you guys saw me a few times before, but I'm Tasfia. I'm also a third year CS and bio student at the University of Toronto. And also I'm one of the co-leads for the Cloud Builder Club.
Yeah, awesome. So Tasvi and I are kind of running all of the Anthropic uh, events on campus this term and the next term as well. Great. So Graciana is not here, but she runs some of our social media things, and we're really lucky to also have the support of some of our partners here at the hackathon this year. So we have UFT Blueprint on board. So I know Harsh is here from UFT Blueprint. Do you want to sort of introduce yourself and sort of say a few words about what you guys do?
Yeah, okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Harsh. I'm a first year master's student in the stats department. So I'm part of UFC Blueprint, and what we do is we primarily write software for nonprofits. So, for example, I can say that there's the city of Brampton. We collaborated with them last year and we created like a tennis court booking system to basically streamline the process. We're working with a lot of like cool nonprofits this year. I won't go too in depth to it, but you can check out our website. And yeah.
Great. Yeah. So Blueprint's doing some really cool nonprofit work. I'm actually involved with them as well in the organizing team. We also have UFT AI, which I'm not sure if either Sonia or Dev is here, but I can speak on their behalf. So I'm also one of the campus strategy directors there. So we sort of organize conferences throughout the year relating to artificial intelligence. So we would have corporate sponsorships where you can hear about the research that's going on currently at, some of the firms that are doing research on LLMs and other advances in AI, and also chances to learn more about sort of careers and cool things that are currently happening. So there's tons of events that go on with that. We're also currently sponsored, I guess, by Agentive and UT Mist. Agentive here is like a local startup. I'm not sure if the partners here in the call. That's okay. I'm not sure if Tanae's in the call here. No, so yeah, they're a local startup that's sponsoring one of our tracks and they're affiliated with UTMIS. So today the goal, generally speaking, is just to introduce a hackathon. Oh, sorry. And distribute our API credits and also with a quick workshop that Tassia is going to be running if you guys want to stick around for that. Great. Okay, so an event overview. The goal of this hackathon, I think, unlike some other hackathons, is not for you guys to build especially fast. Something that I found having gone to many hackathons is that I find that it often encourages students to, bootstrap things together very quickly and knowing that those things won't necessarily work later on. So I find that while it's, fun and while it's always exhilarating to spend that 48 hours doing that, it doesn't necessarily lead to sort of the most sustainable products or for people to have a good learning experience. So we're really trying to give you guys a few weeks to find a team and really try to build something that works, something that you'll be able to learn from and maintain. So basically, we're hoping you guys can explore sort of the world of LLMs and use them to try to build a product that you might not be able to do at a traditional hackathon. Before we move on, communications take place on Discord, Instagram, and email. I've obviously been sending you guys emails, but if you haven't joined the Discord yet, here's the latest link. I'm also going to send this in the chat to everyone. So if you haven't joined, please join. Okay? All right. So I want to introduce some of the tracks here at the hackathon. If you guys aren't familiar too much with participating in hackathons before, or if it's your first one, then this might be a little bit confusing. But you can essentially think of them as guidelines for products that you might want to build, right? So the first track that we have is sort of inspired by sort of U of T AI, and it's based on sort of reasoning systems. So basically, you want to build a tool that helps people work, learn, or create things more effectively. You want to focus on, we say intelligence as infrastructure here, but really what it means is ways in which Claude and sort of LLMs can help humans do better work. It's about building systems that really extend people's cognition and not just automate tasks. So, for example, you can think of them as co-pilots, whether for coding or researching, planning systems, developer tools that improve the developer experience for software engineers. Um, many ideas that you can think of. I don't want to limit you guys with these examples, but the core question is that how can AI help humans research better? And this is very broad, right? So the goal of this is more of a guiding question. Don't think of it as like you're going to submit something and we're not going to put this into the track because we think that it's not uh, aligning with what we wanted. So we're really leaving it open-ended for you guys. The second track that we have is sort of the human-centered AI track, and this is surrounding some of the work and inspired by the work that U of T Blueprint does currently with nonprofits. So it's the idea that we want to explore how we can use artificial intelligence tools to directly improve the communities around us. So it focuses on more tangible human-centered outcomes. How can we use AI to improve accessibility here at the university or just in the city through civic tech, like Harsh talked about with local city governments? How can we use it to improve education, healthcare outcomes, things like that? So this has to have some level of social impact. And again, you guys can think about how you guys want to approach that. It can be something that's very broad, right? It doesn't have to be one of our example directions here. So some of the examples we did give are things like language learning apps, AI for mental health, or community support. And be creative. We've seen a lot of apps that sort of fall under these examples at normal hackathons. So given that you guys have more time, you can really think to scope out some of the actual problems people have, perhaps even do research into some of the partners that you guys might want to think about, right? So whether it's the city government or whether it's other things in the community that you guys think can benefit from advances in AI, right? So great. So the third track that we have, which is sponsored by Agentive, is adaptive scholarship matching and AI drafting. So what do I mean by this, right? So this is a special track that you guys can submit to alongside one of the other two. So the only mutually exclusive things in this hackathon would be track one and track two. So you can't submit to both of these things. But for track three, you can combine them basically with track one or two, depending on what you guys think is more aligning with your product. So for track three, your goal is to help humans win real opportunities, help students win real opportunities through scholarships. So I have a document that I'm going to send out in the Discord afterwards that goes into more detail about this track. But the idea is that most scholarship tools will stop at matching. But the idea is that we want you to use some of the advances in AI tools to go further than that and to understand whether through like web scraping, whether through parsing sort of scholarship requirements online and generating algorithms to tailor your application to those things for students to try to convert those things into a tool that people can use to actually apply to these things. Right. So for example builds that they gave us include a scholarship personality profiler that can detect sort of the values that scholarships are looking for online, an essay generator that reframes the same story for each scholarship, and perhaps pattern miners that can find certain attributes that have been common from past winners. It's a very specific and niche application, but the idea is that given 20 days, we want you to build not just a web app, but really to try to dive deeper into some of the technologies. I think what they're really looking for is not like a finished product, not how well you guys are able to, for example, just build out like a, I don't know, Bootstrap and Next.js app, but to really think about how you would use technologies to dive deep into this problem. So you can think a lot about how to improve the user experience, whether through like building a reg system, whether through building things with, for example, vectorization. So really think about those things, right? All right. I think this is a good track to join because it kind of fuses the ones that we talked about earlier, and it also includes some extra prizes that are unique to this track. So if you guys are interested in this, I'm actually going to send a uh, link right now in the chat. Um, Actually, Harsh, can you grab that link from the email and put it in the chat? Just the one about like the interest form. So you guys will need to
Yeah, I
send that
got
right
you.
now. Yeah. So if you guys are even remotely interested in this, you guys should fill that out right now because it doesn't lock you into this track, but it's just our way of understanding engaging interest. Um, yeah. So we're gonna pause here for 1 second. I'm also happy to take any questions. I'm gonna pause and okay. So just take a second to go fill out that form in the chat. If we already have a team, should one member fill in the form or everyone fills in individually? You mean for the specific track for track 3 that we're looking at? Um, yeah, everyone should fill that out individually. Because the idea with these hackathons is that we, up until the actual submission time where you submit as a team, you guys are all technically individual hackers. So yeah, we're not going to do like a team matching form until the very end where you guys submit it, and then you can submit on DevPost with 1 to 4 people. So you guys aren't binded into sort of teams from the very beginning. And like one of the reasons why we have the form is because they do have limited spots for um, this track as well. So we want to make sure that we have a good understanding of how much people are interested in this. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. Oh, someone said, just to confirm, we can have two different submissions, one for track 1 and one for track 3. They don't have to be the same. Okay, so I think some of the tracks might be a little bit confusing. Um, so you can only make one submission. And your submission will basically be judged on which track you think that it would also align with. So you can submit them to as many tracks as you want, but for some of them, it just might be a little bit awkward because it might not align perfectly with what it does. So if it's some kind of reasoning system that, for example, also somehow benefits the community as well, then perhaps you could submit it to both tracks, but that makes your product also a little bit less focused, right? So the idea is that these are sort of just categories for judging that you can submit to. You can submit to all of the tracks if you want, but the idea is that they have to be, the more relevant to the tracks they are, the better they'll be judged. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. So let's just say that for the purposes of clarity, there's no mutually exclusive tracks. You can sign up to as many tracks as you want. But yeah. Okay, and as I said before, like if you decide not to do any of the first three, then there's a general track you can apply to. But I would say that sort of limits your opportunity for like prizes and just judging in general, right? Because you might as well do one of the other tracks, like track 3, and then also go for this. This is more so just to reward the general. You can win both tracks, I guess, is what I'm saying. Okay. In terms of team formation, again, 1 to 4 members that you guys will submit together with on the dev post. You can form teams through the Discord server using the Find a Team channel. They shouldn't say UFTAI, they should be the Hackathon Discord that I had before. Uh, or you can find it, I guess, right now in the live stream. You can build as a solo builder, so that's allowed, but collaboration is encouraged. Um, yeah. In terms of the judging rubric, it's going to be focused on your track, but in general, what you can think about is innovation, right? So how original is your idea? So at a lot of hackathons, if you guys take a look at the past dev posts, which are open source from other hackathons, you can sort of see that the projects that tend to do well are projects that are memorable and original, right? So, maybe don't build another GPT wrapper, for example, or I guess in this case, Claude wrapper. Um, it's probably not going to be the most original idea, right? So you can think about how to use these things creatively, and in ways that haven't really been done before. Um, the technical execution part. So given that we're giving you guys, almost 20 days to build this out, we're expecting some degree of implementation quality, right? So perhaps, deploy a demo, for example, on Railway, Vercel, whatever you decide to use, something that's at least somewhat robust, right? That's demoable and won't break. So we're definitely expecting like a somewhat polished demo for people to try and the judges to try. In terms of impact, try to make it somewhat useful in the real world. So I know some hackathons tend to be a little bit goofy where you can sort of build everything. I guess for the tracks here, we try to make it at least somewhat of a product where by the end you should be able to justify the use of the product at least um, for whatever track you're applying for. The UX has to be somewhat nice. Obviously, I know we're not all sort of front-end engineers, but thinking, I guess, through how people might want to use your app and the user experience is important. If you're building a developer tool, think about the developer experience, right? And finally, there's a presentation aspect too, which I'll get to. That's on clarity, storytelling, and communication. Um, we put only 10% here because that's how much we're judging you based on. But you have to remember that to communicate all of the other things, you need to have a good presentation, right? So that's sort of implicit in the weight here. If you can't really communicate your technical execution or impact, then you probably get a lower score on these categories, right? So part of the presentation is not just to have it, but also to communicate the other things well. We're not expecting everyone to make really polished videos, but putting some effort into it, depending on how good you are at video editing, is always appreciated. And I think you'll get special credit for that, I guess. Um, yeah, and finally, you have to use obviously the Claude LLM or the API somewhere in there. Okay, submission requirements on the dev post by the 20th, 11:59. You need to have a product demo video, less than 5 minutes, a GitHub repo with code, with commits not before November 1st, obviously, because we didn't release the case yet, with a README on how to set up the app and also just a little bit of a description. And finally, a write-up, which is going to be on dev post, explaining your motivation and impact. Nothing crazy, 500 words-ish or less. Obviously, I think being clear is better than being verbose. Right? So, great. Any questions? That's the end of the introduction to the hackathon. We're going to move on to API credits distributions, but I'm going to open the floor for 5 minutes. This slideshow will be getting posted along with the recording. And also, this slideshow comes directly from the Hacker Guide. So, Harsh, if you can help me send that in the chat as well, that would be awesome. No problem. Yeah, take your time. I think part of the reason why we gave you guys 20 days is just because I think hackathons are a little rushed, and I know we're all busy people. So I think it's nice to have a little bit more time to work with a group on something that's more presentable as a project. Um, so yeah, feel free to drop questions in the chat or just interrupt me, raise your hand. I appreciate that, Bihan. Thank you. We have some people dropping in and out. That's okay. Yeah, like one of the nice things about hackathons is that, by the end of it, even if you don't, for example, win a prize, you always have something to put on your portfolio to show off as a project, right? I think that's always a nice thing, and it's a good opportunity to meet new people who are motivated and also to dive deep into an area. Like I think having done a lot of hackathons, I think for me at least, what's more enjoyable now is just using it as a chance to learn something new. Um, okay, if there's any questions, I hope that's because the presentation is clear and because we are so confused that we don't know what to ask. But if there's any other questions, again, feel free to email me or um, honestly, what might be better is because I'm getting a lot of emails right now to you guys can also message me directly on either Discord or Instagram. I have a public Instagram account, so I'll type that in the chat. That might be easier because I don't really check Discord too much. So um, you guys can send any like urgent messages there if your teammate like forgot to register or something like that. Just message me, then I'll find it because I'm way more active there. Okay, Tasvia, I'm gonna hand it off to you to do your thing with the API credit distribution.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm just gonna wait. Yeah. I'm just gonna share my screen. Okay. Before I head into my presentation, I'm gonna drop in a link so that people can sign up on their Anthropic console. So everyone, please just keep an eye on this link because we'll be needing this as we go through. So yeah, this is the second part of the presentation. Essentially, we'll just be working through like how to get signed up. Yeah, so the first thing you want to do is create your dev accounts. So with the link that I sent in the chat, you want to sign up with your student email. If you already have a personal Claude console or Anthropic console account, keep it, but right now you want to sign up with your student email to get the discount that we have. So you'll get your free API credits as well as Cloud Pro. So I'm just gonna present while I do this. Sorry. Don't know why this is not. Oh, there we go. So yeah, once you head on to your Claude console and then you sign up with your email, you should be able to, okay, this is, okay, there we go. So you should be able to choose between the type of account that you want. You have the choice between an individual and an organization. I would say go with an individual. Organization has a few more extra things that you don't really want to deal with. Make sure you use an individual account type with your student email. Once you are signed in and you'll probably be prompted for like more information, you'll get to this page eventually. So I'm just going to give everyone a few seconds to get to this stage. If you already are at this stage where you can see your dashboard, let me know in the chats so that I can show you what the next steps would be. But essentially, you're trying to find your organization ID. So basically, you should be going into your dashboard on your Claude console, scroll all the way down to settings at the bottom. And then in settings, you have like profile, organization, etc. You want to click on organization. And then you want to specifically copy this organization ID. Usually people have some issues finding this org ID. This is really important because this is how you will get access to your API credits as well as your Cloud Pro. So make sure that you get to this step. I'm gonna give everyone a few seconds to work this through.
Tasvia, there's a question in the chat. They're asking if they have to sign up with a student email or not.
Yes, you do have to sign up with a student email. I'm just gonna go back to my slides. But yes, you do need to sign up with your student email to get the promotion. So I can't see the chat. I think maybe that was harsh or
Yeah, that was me. I can read them out to you.
Okay,
And
yeah.
then there's another question about that's asking between individual and org, can they pick which one?
No,
Or
just go with individual. Yeah,
individual?
just go with individual. Don't go with organization. Like I said, there are more steps to fill out. Just go with an individual. Yeah. Yeah, this happens every single time, but yeah.
And then another question, are they asking one per team or one per individual?
One per individual. Ideally, like you'll have access to your Claude Pro account for 4 months. That's kind of the promotion that's going on. So ideally, you want your own Claude Pro account. So just sign up
Yeah.
for.
Also, just to mention again, like the teams are purely like administratively for the judging at the end. So you'll register as individual hackers for the entire portion of the hackathon, and only on the 20th, when you submit your dev post, will sort of the teams actually get assigned.
Exactly. James or Harsh, do we have any more questions in the chat? If anyone has questions, just like feel free to unmute yourself as well.
No new ones so far.
Okay, cool. All right. I guess, yeah, so if everyone has access to this organization ID, I'm just gonna screen share the QR code because this is the Google form that you need to put your org ID in to get access to your account. So if you can scan this QR code, again, for this Google form, you want to enter your student email and the org ID that was linked to your Anthropic console. And then usually, okay, so typically it takes us a week to process the requests. So you should get an email within like mid next week, maybe, of your API credits as well as your Claude Pro account. And the credits should be automatically applied. So I'm just gonna present this so everyone can scan it. Yeah. James, if you have the link on hand for this Google form, would you mind dropping it in the chat? I think I forgot to put it in.
Where's the link?
It should be on the master doc. So
I got it, don't worry.
okay, thank you.
Oh, that's Sophia. Sorry. Could you please paste the Google Form link instead in the chat? Because we're on our laptops and it doesn't make sense to now scan on our phones and then.
Yeah, sure.
I
No
just
worries.
pasted it.
Thank
You should, can you not see what I pasted?
Oh, yeah, I just saw it. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's funny because like sometimes people have their phones on them and sometimes people just have their laptops, so it gets kind of messy. But yeah.
Someone's asking if the Claude credits disappear after the hackathon.
No, they don't. You will have the API credits. I think everyone gets like $60 worth of API credits. So you can use it as much as you want. Like it's yours once you get it. Your Claude Pro account though does expire after 4 months of signing up. So yeah. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna wait until everyone is signed up for this. Do we need the link anymore, or is everyone fine without the QR code?
I think it's fine if we move on. If somebody missed it, I can send it in the chat again.
Okay. I'm only seeing American campuses. Yeah, so you'll just need to scroll down a lot to see University of Toronto St. George. Even if you're not from St. George, it doesn't matter. You can just, sign up for it. Yeah. You'll need to like scroll down a little bit to find our campus. What CBC meeting? Just say meeting 3. Just with a date field. Just put in today's date, it's fine. Technically today's meeting is meeting 3, so you should be good. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next section of our presentation, which is going to be a workshop. It's for 4 months. So you use all the it was got. Yes. Whoever sent the last message into the chat, yeah, that's correct. So you'll have the API credits for however long you want to use it. And free Claude Pro for 4 months. Yep. Okay, wonderful. All right, so the next section for our presentation is a workshop about building agents with Claude. with Alex Nodov, a member of technical staff at Anthropic. In our last meeting, we did look through half of the recording. If you didn't have the chance to join, that's all right. We